I was very, very confident going into this game. If you heard the radio show yesterday, I sort of thought, Gonzaga is not good, and they're not. This is not a normal Gonzaga team. The Gonzaga talent is not anywhere close to what it was. There are no Jalen Suggs, Chet Holmgrens. There are none of those guys on this team. This is Nolan Hickman's decent, but remember, he was going to come here, and he's now in his junior year. It's not the same team. So I thought, you're at home, you get that atmosphere. Kentucky fans, this is a chance to kind of turn it around. They beat Vandy, and that's not only not what happened. They once again got embarrassed, and I think got embarrassed in probably the most damning way yet on Calipari. That was almost coaching malpractice out there to watch the way that it played out. It was Mark Few completely decimated this Kentucky team, and I'll go over a few of the things that stuck out to me. But this is now the 7th loss in the season on a team that has really an unbelievable amount of talent. And they've lost 7, and they still have their 2 hardest road games, 2 losable road games, and a game against the first-place team in the SEC at home yet to come. They have 7 road games, and they haven't even really gotten to the hardest part of their schedule yet. It's a terrible loss, and you're going to see it on Tuesday. They play Ole Miss at 9 o'clock in Rupp, and I think there's going to be a lot of empty seats. I mean, I don't think it's going to be empty, but I think there's going to be a lot of empty seats. I think there's going to be a lot of people who don't go to that late game after this. And, this is we talked about this on the pregame show, but this is the 3rd loss in a row at home, only the 2nd time in school history. It's only the 2nd time in school history. That's embarrassing. So I'll do what I did last time. Let's talk about the micro and the game, and then sort of a bigger picture about the season. First of all, Calipari said when it was over, they lost that game in the first half. I don't know if I totally agree with that. We were up 6 in the second half. I mean, we did come back after being down at half by 10 and had a 6-point lead. But let me just take that at face value and say you lost it in the first half. Well, if you believe we lost it in the first half, we lost it because I have no idea how John Calipari was coaching that team in the first half. I want you to go back, if you will. Actually, don't go back and watch it. But he probably, in the first 10 minutes, played 9, 10 different lineups. The shuttling back and forth of guys was unbelievable, including some lineups that literally have no chance of scoring. I mean, at one point he had, I think, Dillingham, Wagner, Burks, Thiero, and Ugo. I mean, that's just not a lineup that's going to score points. It's just not. And you had sitting on your bench, I counted, Reeves and Shepard played a total, combined, the two of them, of 19 minutes in the first half out of 40. You can't do that. Reeves, Dillingham, and Shepard. You could argue Reeves, Dillingham, and Shepard are maybe 3 of the best shooters we've ever had. I would argue they're the best threesome of shooting on one team that Kentucky's ever had. I don't think they've ever had 3 guys on the team at the same time who could shoot threes better. You want to know how many minutes they played together tonight? 1.5 minutes. 1.5 minutes. 3 of the best shooters ever, one of which could be an All-American, one of which had 21 points in the second half, and one of which will be a top 5 to 7 pick. The coach did not play them together for more than 1.5 minutes. That's crazy to me. That's insanity to me when you have that level of shooting to not play them. And the answer is, well, they can't guard because Gonzaga was too big. Did it look like our bigs could guard? Did it look like our bigs could stop them? No. So I don't understand. If you think we lost it in the first half, we lost it probably because Cal said earlier this week, I'm going to play everybody in the first half and then play the best people in the second half. Well, how about we try a game where we play the best people, Billy, the whole game? How about we do that? Because you played 11 guys in the first half. Like, it's not going to work. Guys just going in and out. Nobody can get in a rhythm. And not surprisingly, we couldn't make shots, and we still couldn't defend. We gave up the same amount of points, essentially, in the first half as the second half. I mean, they got a little bit more at the end. So it was 42 and 47. But the difference is we scored 32 in the first half. And that is you just can get no rhythm. And then the last 10 minutes were an embarrassment. Mark Few did the same thing every single time down the court, and we had no answer. If Ugo was in, they put him in a pick and roll. He could not guard it. Big Z is in, pick and roll, can't guard it. Bradshaw's in, seal him down low, score over him. We never adjusted. I mean, forget about zone. Just nothing else. No thought about even going small. Nothing. Let's just let them do it over and over and over. And they did. I don't know how many possessions they scored in a row, but I think it was like 9 they scored in a row. Now, thankfully, because Shepard and Reeves scored 36 points combined in the second half, we were able to stay in it. But, you know, you got to get at least one up. Which brings us to the final play. I have no idea what that play was. This is probably the worst Kentucky team throwing lobs of the Cal era. Would you agree with that, Billy? Worst team throwing lobs we've had?
There's been a lot of bad ones, that's for sure, this year.
I mean, this one, they've been terrible. And you run a lob to Thiero. Look, Adu played great. I'm not downing Thiero. But you have, again, on your team, an All-American, a top 7 pick, and a dude who has 21 points in the second half. And the first option is a lob, which we're not even good at, to a guy who's like our 5th or 6th offensive option. How is that a play? And then if you're going to run that play, go back and watch it. It's on social media. Ugo, why is he in? Why is he in? I guess he's in for the tap in, but it's his man that stops the lob. Ugo is standing on top of where the lob is supposed to be. It's his man that stops it because he's in the way. You cannot set up a play like that. Cal, after the game, said, I wanted it to be a lob, and if that wasn't there, Reeves 3. I will live or die with Reeves or Shepard taking the shot, and sometimes Dillingham. Or when Wagner's healthy, a drive. I do not want a team that can't lob throwing a lob to a dude. That's a terrible final play. When Gonzaga got the ball and needed a basket, what'd they do? The thing that works. Get the big guy down low, isolate, score. We never adjusted. And when we get the ball, we're doing stuff. I don't think we've run that play all year that I can remember. Certainly not in a key situation. So you lose. You also, they end up fouling up 3 and win. We didn't foul up 3 and lost. So the malpractice of the decision against Florida plays itself out in reverse this time. When the game was over, Calipari said, blame me, don't blame the players. Put it on me, don't put it on the players. I give him credit for saying that. He's right. But it is on him. This year's on him. This team should be good. And by the way, I kind of am tired of him saying, don't blame the players. This fan base hasn't blamed the players this year. This fan base loves these players. They do. This is Oscar was an extremely likable player. But I think you could make an argument that the fan base likes this team as much as any they've liked since, Fox, Monk, and Bam. They love them. Shepard's from Kentucky, the way we shoot, the way we get up and down. They love them. The complaints are towards Cal, and they have been all year. And he continues to say, put it on me. But then he gets defensive when it is put on him. And it's becoming toxic. And it's not becoming toxic because of me. It's not becoming toxic because of KSR. It's not becoming toxic really because of the fans. It's becoming toxic because the amount of underachieving is now historic. And, historical perspective matters. People can say the game's changed, and it has to some extent, but North Carolina went to Miami and won today. Kansas is going to take care of business and win against Baylor at home today. Like these other teams, when it comes down to it, are making the plays, and we're not. The Kansas game, 4 minutes to go, we're up. We lose. Florida game, 4 minutes to go, up, lose. A&M, 3 minutes to go, up, lose. Tonight, tied, 4 minutes to go, lose. It's the same thing over and over and over. I don't mean to say this every time, but we do need to put it in context. In the last 4 years, we've had the worst regular season in the history of the program. The worst. We've had the worst tournament loss in the history of the program. And we now have lost 3 straight home games for only the second time in the history of the program and the first time in 55 years. Throw in, we have 3 home losses to unranked teams. I don't know the stats, but that can't have happened more than once or twice in history. And Calipari, who set records that were historic on the good side early in his career, is now setting records on the bad side on the back end of his career. We can't act like that's not happening. And I can't anymore. You know, it doesn't do any good to talk about a change today. They're going to play through the end of March, and this team, I still think, has the talent to do something, crazy in March. I become less and less confident every day that it'll happen, but they do have the talent. But I said after the Tennessee game, it's basically now to the point that March has to go well. Well, now I'm to the point that if it doesn't go well, I just don't know how you can keep doing this. I mean, the fan base has had it. There were boos tonight. There was a time nobody ever booed at Rupp Arena. There was loud boos. You could hear it. You can hear it on the television. It's sad because this fan base cares more than anybody. They care this year more than they do, I think, in the average year. And they just continually get let down. And the path now becomes extremely difficult. Not making the tournament is in play. It's in play. With the schedule that's left, not making the tournament's in play. But even if you make the tournament, we're now looking like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 seed. Well, now you're going to have to pull off an upset, maybe even in your first game, certainly 1 or 2 in the first weekend. And considering this talent on this team, and considering what they will do, some of them at the next level, and considering what this fan base continues to bring night in and night out, it's an embarrassment. And if we don't have a good March, I don't think it can continue. I just don't. This fan base does not deserve the last 4 years. Now, don't get me wrong. Calipari from 2010 to 2017 is one of the best runs, in my opinion, in college basketball history. They did have, it'd been nice if they could win one more. But if you just look at the whole overarching, it was amazing. 18 and 19, not amazing, but still really good. 20, season gets canceled. And Cal and other people like to say, well, we had a shot. We did have a shot, but we were a 4 seed that year. All right. I think revisionist history has us as a 1 seed that year. We were a 4 seed going into that tournament. But with all that said, I'll start at COVID. This has not been Kentucky basketball. It's not. And we have to universally agree to that and universally say we got 8 regular season games and a postseason to turn it around, or we're probably going to have to do something else.